Welcome Owsley Junior High students. Welcome to your next science video notes. I'm here at Pappy Elkins Lake in Arlington, Texas. Beautiful water lake near my house, and I just thought it would be a great day to come out here while I talk about water everywhere, as we discuss groundwater and aquifers and the importance of water on our planet and in our earth and for our livelihood and the ecosystems around us that we've been talking about this year. So let's begin. Like I said earlier, our earth is 97% salt water and only 3% freshwater. Our valuable freshwater is found on and below Earth's surface. You may ask why we don't run out of freshwater. Well, it is always recycling itself, luckily for us. We call this the water cycle. Here's a picture to show the water cycle again. So water evaporates from the surface of the earth, rises and cools. It then condenses into rain or snow and falls again on the surface of the earth. As the water falls in different ways, it collects in rivers and lakes and soil and also in different layers of rock. And much of it flows back into the oceans. This continues and continues, and it's always replenishing our fresh water through the water cycle. Also, some water actually seeps through the soil and is trapped as groundwater, and we're going to get into that more in just a moment. So the water cycle just represents how water is just constantly moving on the earth. Falling water collects back into oceans, rivers, lakes, and soil and porous layers of rock as water percolates through soil to be trapped as groundwater. Whoa, so I just said some new words in there. Porous and percolates. So porous means having small holes that allow air and liquid through. Percolates just means that that liquid is filtered gradually through a porous surface. Some synonyms of percolates is to drip or seep through. Here's that water cycle picture one more time. Remember to draw something similar in your notes to help you remember. So we have surface water and groundwater. Surface water is all above the ground and groundwater is below the surface. Some examples that happen with groundwater is an aquifer. An aquifer is a body of rock or sediment that stores groundwater and allows it to flow underground, and also kind of can clean it out. Also, large wells can be drilled into the ground to go down into these aquifers, and this is where most of the U.S. gets their drinking water from. Here's a cool picture of a well in the corner right here. So there's a well with a bucket, and they're grabbing some groundwater. Today you saw me at a pond. We also have rivers that run down mountains and through our valleys. That is a surface water. Ocean would be considered surface water. So groundwater, you have to dig down deep into the earth. That's where we get most of our drinking water. Then with surface water, we get a lot of movement, and that movement, that draining of the water, is called a watershed. The area of land that is drained by a river system, because all that water has to go back to the ocean eventually. Everything flows down. So here's a picture example of a watershed coming down off the mountaintop, going through a city, and then later it'll go into the ocean. And our closest and nearest watershed is the Mississippi River. So make sure you have all 4 of these vocabulary words written down in your notebook. Aquifers are super important for human life and activity. 25% of our fresh water comes from groundwater, and we need this for drinking, to fuel water sources at industries, and also agriculture, so we can have food to eat. They water all the crops. The top layer or top part surface of the groundwater is called the water table. That's found right here in this picture. So that's where the water sits, right below or wherever it is underneath the ground. So the top of where it is underground is called the water table. This can rise and fall depending on how full and how much water is stored at the time in the aquifer. Permeability also helps measure how easily water can flow through an aquifer. We want high permeability because that means that many pores in the aquifer are connected so water can flow easily. This makes it a lot easier to have wells and pumps and get that water out of the aquifer. So we like both a high porosity, having lots of pores where it can flow through, and high permeability, the easiness of it to flow through, and we can gather that water source. Make sure to add to this vocabulary in your notes: permeability, the measure of how easily water can flow through an aquifer. So look at the pictures below and try to mentally draw an arrow showing which pictures have high or low porosity and permeability, and then we'll check your answers in just a few moments. If your answers look like mine here in the blue arrows, then good job! Well done! Well, class, that's it for now. Make sure you go back and color that picture and draw out a sketch of the water cycle and write down any of the vocabulary that you saw. Here are my resources. Our TEK for this lesson is 7.8c. We're going to model the human activity on groundwater and surface water in a watershed. Have a great day.